I should not be here. If it wasn't for Nancy Kemp and the others that followed, I wouldn't be here. Lastly, I just want to say, if I personally or Drake Athletics in any way can be of service to you, I want you to know that it's important to us to serve our community. It's important to me personally to advance social justice in any way possible. So if there's anything that I or we can do to serve you or serve your mission, you need to let me know. I want to say, again, congratulations to the work that you do, and thank you for letting me be with you today.
Questions? Anyone have a question? Oh, come on. You're not a quiet group. Many of you have the gift of getting to engage with families on a regular basis. Many of you have the opportunity to engage with staff in your role within the agency. And here's your chance to talk to someone who was one of those folks and does this work every day. So what would you like to ask? Yes. Hold on, I'll give you the mic.
I may have missed it, but I was curious what led you to Maximo.
So the gentleman in the yellow shirt in that picture is Larry Madol, and he was leading our trip. We were on Meals from the Heartland board together. And we were traveling to Haiti in order to see how our meals enter the country, how they're distributed through our partners across the country, and how meals are getting into the mouths of the people that need them. And so Larry led part of that trip. Larry also leads a mission through his church to that particular part of Pignon, Haiti that we were in the Northern Plateau. And so as we went out there to see the different areas that we serve through Meals from the Heartland, he took us to meet Maxino. And so that's how we met him. And so Maxino used to scoot himself around. You can see all the tracks around the house there that you saw. He just would scoot himself around, and he would heard the hammers and things a quarter of a mile away, and he'd scoot himself down there to see them do the work. And they kind of fell in love with him, and met his uncle and would bring him meals and things like that. Help care for them. So that's how we met Maximo.
Another question, okay. Gosh, who is it that runs around with the microphone? Oh.
It's Vanna.
Vanna? No, she does the letters.
This is maybe a little bit different avenue, but coming from the athletic area, I have a son who will be an assistant football coach this fall, and I remember telling him a long time ago that when you get to be a coach, you remember how you felt when you were a freshman or a sophomore and felt you weren't getting a break. What would you have me tell him as far as treating his athletes or in our dealings with schools or like with our volunteers and so forth? We have volunteers for the schools, coaches at times. Something that we could share, might pass on to them if the time is appropriate.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I've had the great privilege before coming to Drake. I was at Arizona State University for 16 years and have been involved with very many coaches over more than 25 years in intercollegiate athletics now. And some I've watched them win national championships, can play for national championships at the highest level. So I've had the privilege of watching lots and lots of coaches. And this is what I tell coaches all the time. This is what makes the difference. It's not how well you know the X's and O's. It's not. It is not. It's how well you know people. And here's the thing, whether it's an athlete or a young person in poverty or wherever, young people want standards. They want expectations. I used to want somebody to tell me, no, you can't have a cake party for your 14th birthday. I'm not kidding. I wanted somebody to tell me no. But nobody said no. So that's where we had it in my basement. So young people want standards. They want expectations and they live up to them. So a coach, the extraordinary coaches are the ones that can set high expectations and hold people accountable to them in truth and love. People have to know you care about them. If somebody knows that you care about them, they'll run through the wall. But a coach who is brilliant, knows every X and O, every play, can out-strategy another coach, is not going to be the winner in the long run. The coach that can inspire a young person's heart to be a better person is going to be the coach that wins when the day's over.
Okay, we have a question in the back.
I was really impressed to find that your husband's from Sigourney,
Yes.
Southeast Iowa, which is where we're from. But your teacher really is special to you, that's obvious. But what did she do that really connected with you? That it seemed like so many people couldn't do, but she did.
Yeah. The big thing, she just flat out believed in me. This is a true story. So I had to switch high schools between my 10th and 11th grade year. What is that? Sophomore, junior year. And I was in this work program, and we sat at tables instead of desks. So I got there early the first day of school. I sat down close to I just went and said, hello, Mrs. Kemp, I'm Sandy Hatfield, and sat down there to talk with her because we were the only ones in the classroom. And so everybody started coming in the classroom, and they squeezed into all the other tables, and nobody sat at the table that I was at. Nobody. They squeezed in. They took chairs from my table, but they didn't sit at my table. So here I am, the new kid, who doesn't feel like she belongs anywhere, sitting up there in the front of the class with everybody squeezed into the back. So I came in the second day, and I sat in my seat, and everybody sat in their tables, and we did that the entire first week, and that's when I went up to Mrs. Kemp, and I said, to me, I thought I was being very responsible, and looking back, I know I was like screaming for help. I went up to Mrs. Kemp, and I said, Mrs. Kemp, I'm dropping out of high school. Do I sign something or do I just go? Like, I don't want the police to pick me up or anything. And she said, she just looked at me, knew me 1 week. And she says, Sandy, if you could graduate this year, would you stay? That's all she said to me. I said, I'll come back on Monday. So I came back on Monday, went through our little gyration of everybody squeezing in everywhere else and me sitting at my own table. I started 12th and 11th grade in the same year. She got me into a night class. I do not check my high school transcript because I don't know that it's real. It worked to get me into Texas El Paso, and all those degrees are real. But I took like classes at the exact same hour and then night class, and then I had to work 8 hours a day in order to get credit for high school. So finally, about 2-3 weeks into school, some kid comes and sits down next to me. He saw the short straw, because everybody's watching. And he comes and sits down next to me and he says, what are you doing here? I'm going to school. What are you doing here? He goes, oh, we're going to school. Okay. He goes, how old are you? I said, 16, how old are you? He's like, oh my God, we thought you were 23 years old or something. Like you were a student teacher. Mrs. Kemp never told us who you were or what you were doing here. I'm like, shit, excuse my language. I'm going to school. What the heck? I'm just one of you. I don't know why I was so different, but I had this wall around me like, don't freaking get near me. Nobody touch me. Nobody touched me. I just had this huge wall. And I walked around like, nobody touched me, because I might get hurt. So I put that off, and that's why I was in that little space. But that's all she said to me. She just believed in me. Seriously, how she got it done, I don't know. I did do work, but I don't know how we did it. But she just flat out looked at me, and for some reason, she believed in me.
Oh, I just am so impressed with your story, and I see that you have opportunities to speak with professional adults. Do you ever have opportunities now to reach out to young people?
I have been invited a few times to speak with high school students and student athletes, which I really enjoy. And I have to keep